Hi everyone, Anthony Fantano here, internet's busiest music nerd, and doing right now a question, comment thing. Today my question is, do we respect the past? Do you and I, us, music, community as a whole, respect the past? And I mean the music of the past. And I don't mean do we enjoy the past, I don't mean do we like the past. That's different. I mean, do we respect the past enough to honor it and not exploit it? Most importantly, do we respect the past enough to not turn it into a spectacle? To me, the answer has always been no, but I kind of had confirmation of that this past weekend when I saw a hologram image of Tupac Shakur performing on stage at Coachella. And he was doing everything. He was grabbing his chain, he was rapping, he was posing, he was saying, "What's up, Coachella?" performing with Snoop Dogg. And apparently this performance, this concept has been in the works for several months. And there are now talks of possibly taking the Tupac Hologram on tour, either with Dr. Dre and Snoop Dogg or with some more current rappers for kind of a wider tour. But I have to wonder, is this the way we should treat the memory of one of the most important figures in hip-hop music? I guess philosophically you could say that this is really not such a big deal. A hologram is just a representation of something, and part of the reason this instance is such a big deal is because it's the first time it's being executed in this way on such a grand scale. And when you boil it down, I guess making a hologram of Tupac is in a lot of ways the same as releasing a posthumous album by Tupac, or releasing some video footage, or releasing a movie he used to be in, or something that nobody had access to before. Or to take it further, what about Kurt Cobain's diaries that have been printed and reprinted over the years? I guess it's not the worst thing in the world. I'm sure somewhere there is some sort of veiled intention to pay tribute to Tupac and his music. Of course, this intention is veiled by money. Don't we already have tons of ways of tributing artists already through music and movies and art? I'm open to new and different ways, but isn't this whole hologram thing a little corny? I mean, watching this Tupac hologram dance on stage was a lot like watching the Fab Four dance together and play their instruments in that Beatles rock band game. Isn't this hologram performance kind of like a Disney World thing, a Universal Studios Orlando kind of thing? Of course, there's always the question as to whether or not Tupac would have actually wanted to be turned into a hologram and saying stuff like, "Hey, what's up, Coachella?" and maybe a slew of other things he's never ever said in his life once they decide to program more things into the hologram once it goes on tour. But nobody asks those questions when there's time to kill, and we need to be entertained, and there's a buck to be made. You know, what happens when this technology becomes more commonplace? Are we gonna see Kurt Cobain fronting Nirvana again on tour? Are we gonna see Biggie rapping? Are we gonna see a Michael Jackson world tour? What if this technology ever becomes so cheap that some underground artists I have kind of a personal connection with get hologrammed, like Jay Retard, and his hologram is punching people in the face on stage who mess with him while he's performing? You know, I'm sure this whole hologram thing was really expensive to do, but it just added up to kind of a cheap thrill. It didn't really bring anything for me to the philosophy of Tupac, to his body of work, to his greatness and his charisma or his memory. I actually think it kind of tarnishes his memory because you have a ton of people now who didn't really grow up on Tupac, whose biggest impression of him now is this hologram. As much as I would hate for a guy like Tupac to fall into obscurity, it's an issue all artists have to deal with, no matter how good the music they made was. And I feel like doing stuff like this is just kind of prolonging that pain in a really ugly way. The best thing you and I, everyone, can do for music is instead create and praise art that we think is great as the music that we love from the past. Because the thing is, we're not going to do anything that's memorable into the future if we take every single opportunity we can to be nostalgic. If we're putting all of our efforts into reliving what's already happened. It's a new world out there. Let's act like it. What do you guys think of this whole hologram thing? Was this a tasteful way to bring up Tupac's memory? Are you excited about the prospect of a Tupac Hologram tour, or maybe even your favorite dead artists being reanimated through holograms? Was this kind of a one-time spectacle thing, or do you see this being more common practice into the future? Let me know. Anthony Fantano, holograms forever.